All right, here's one. Why did the math book look so sad? Because it had so many problems. Whoa! School of Beards, Chapter 15. Tales from the She Cave. I've been corrected on how to say that now. Hello again, ReddX and everyone else. Welcome back, user Emerald Aussie. I had to take a few days away from writing between the last ReddX livestream, which was My Tommy Part 2. Yeah, the livestream's been kicking off lately, man. If you've missed it, it's Monday, 1 a.m. my time, Sunday, I guess noon-ish, if you're in the States or something like that. I think it's around 3 p.m. on the East Coast, maybe. But yeah, we're doing it again this weekend. Come on through. Anyways, OP continues. There have also been some things going on in my life. It's been a rough week for me, emotionally. Unfortunately, not even in a way that brings any cringe. Oh, that's the worst. That is the worst. Where is the reward for my suffering? I'm sorry to hear that that's happening to you. I hope you get through it all right. OP continues, I am ready to write again, however, and I got a couple of good tales for you. You see, even though I now spend the majority of my time in my she cave, Sidhe is pronounced she, and it's the word Irish people use for mythical creatures, including fairies. Beetle says I remind him of Tinkerbell, so he calls me his little she. Thus, we decided to call my classroom the She-Have, or She Oim in Irish. I can't pronounce that word, so I'm just gonna go with She Cave. That's the smart way to do it, isn't it? We do read a lot of stories about fairies and stuff over on my creepypasta channel, Dayton Dies. Check it out! We're coming in hard with the plugs today, but sometimes you gotta do it. So needless to say, OP is no longer around the beards all that much. That said, Beetle does tell me everything. Usually as it's happening, I frequently get texts throughout the day that say things like, I had to turn my hearing aids down because Manny is too bloody loud. Or, Manny just said prerequisite like prerequisite. What the actual hell? Yeah, those are actual texts. So, thanks to Beetle's texts and verbal recollections, I'm still able to bring you tales from our beardy English department from the safety of the She Cave, and this first one does actually involve Mannybeard and Beetle. And I have heard the comments loud and clear, okay, no more voice mod. Promise. Swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Thank you for being honest with me about it, comments section. So this is called Silent Beetle, and this happened a few weeks ago as of writing this. Beetle woke up without a voice. He wasn't sick exactly, he felt completely fine, he just didn't have a voice. Yeah, I can imagine, you gotta yell at them kids all day. As you can imagine, this isn't great for a teacher, but we are in a sub shortage, and he wasn't really sick, so he decided he would just figure it out, and he went to work. His first period was fine. He wrote on the board that he lost his voice, and presented his lesson with slides, and typed on the projector as needed to answer questions. Yeah, it wasn't ideal, but it did work. Then second period rolled around. Inclusion with Mannybeard. As soon as they find out Beetle got no voice is gonna turn into a madhouse, bet. Beetle had some work to do before he went to Mannybeard's class, so he didn't go right at the start of the period. It was a few minutes in already. Beetle walked in and saw complete and total chaos. Mannybeard really does have zero control over this class. Kids were like walking in and out of class. One student had taken the bathroom pass and was just hanging out in the hall talking. It really was more like a social club than a classroom. I'd say even social club is a bridge too far. It's a zoo. It is a zoo. Normally, this is the part where Beetle would go in and regain control of the class and get things in order for Mannybeard, but he didn't have a voice. He saw the chaos, but he was helpless to stop it. He did the only thing that he knew to do at this point. He typed out on a Google Doc, I lost my voice, taking my student in the hall to work on his assignment. He showed the screen to Mannybeard and then got his student and went out into the hall. The kid was one that never got any work done, but on this day, Beetle managed to coax him into doing something. Beetle was pretty proud of himself. He managed to get some work out of that kid without even having a voice. Things were going well, in spite of the total chaos taking place in Mannybeard's class, at least for this moment. That is right about the time that Mannybeard had an idea on how to regain control of his class. He decided to send the 4 most disruptive students out of the room to sit with Beetle and his student. Oh no, that's not how you fix this. Now you're just spreading the chaos around. The student that Beetle had been trying to get work out of, and it was finally working, and now Mannybeard had sent 4 disruptive students to a teacher that had no voice. This is cruel. Pass the buck real hard. Beetle looked at the students and motioned for them to sit, and they listened, because high school kids are all innocent, beautiful angels. Yeah, right. No, they flat out ignored Beetle and continued to be disruptive to the point that COVID Beard heard them from her class. Oh, she was at school today. She poked her head out of the room, and instead of saying anything to the students, she just looked at Beetle.
Do you need an AP or are you good?
She asked. Beetle sighed, frustrated. He couldn't really even reply. He pointed to his throat to signal that he couldn't talk, but gave a thumbs up. This wasn't really a situation that he wanted to bother the APs with. COVID Beard or Mannybeard could have talked to the kids at any time and told them to settle down, but they didn't. Yeah, everybody passing the buck around here. There was a sub nearby, but she didn't bother to say anything either. She just sat in the hall and watched Beetle struggle with this situation. Like, do they think this is some weird form of method teaching? Obviously, Beetle became very upset that day. He couldn't do much about it because he didn't have a voice. When his voice came back a couple of days later, he went to talk to Mannybeard. He caught up with him in the workroom. Mannybeard, mate, that was not cool what you did the other day. I had a kid actually working, and you sent me the 4 most disruptive students knowing that I didn't have a voice, Beetle said. Mannybeard looked at him.
I had to get my class under control.
I get that, but I'm not a babysitter. I have kids to work with, and the kids I pulled didn't need the distraction. I pull who I need to work with. You can't randomly send me kids to get them out of your class, Beetle tried to explain. Yeah, that's what the principal's for, isn't it? Mannybeard replies,
We're partners. I needed them out of my room, and you were out there, so they had supervision.
Obviously, Mannybeard was not seeing the point here. You're right. There was supervision, but we are not partners. I'm there to support certain students that need extra help. It's your class. You need to manage them as if I wasn't there, Beetle said.
I couldn't send them out without supervision, and you were there, so I don't see the problem,
Mannybeard said. Beetle sighed. This was getting dangerously close to a confrontation, and he was getting nowhere anyway. Clearly, Mannybeard couldn't grasp this concept, so Beetle just nodded and walked away. He really was so close to just taking his life into his own hands. This is a hill that I would die on. No, we're gonna sit here for 4 hours until you finally pretend you understand. Pretend being the operative word there. To this day, Mannybeard continues to just send random students to Beetle as part of his lackluster classroom management strategy, just like Pitbeard did last year. This year, it's Beetle that has a beard nemesis. Somehow Mannybeard thinks he and Beetle are friends. They are not. Another clueless beard. Yes, I was skeptical that there were new beards within this new batch of teachers, but yes, Mannybeard, I'm gonna confirm it right now. Story number 2. Typical beard gets real. Just because I spend most of my time in the she cave doesn't mean that I don't have any issues with the beards. I just have less direct interactions with them. This tale is short, but it shows why typical beard is a beard, and why Beetle and I stay far, far away. It started one day when Beetle burst into my room at lunch. Bloody hell, love, what's wrong? I asked as I was setting my lunch up. Typical Beard told Sarah that she'd never graduate from high school, he yelled. Sarah is one of Beetle's students. Are you kidding me? I cried. Now, Beetle is non-confrontational to a fault, but the one way to get him riled up faster than anything else is to mess with one of his students. Isn't that what they told Einstein or something? He'd never graduate? You're gonna be fine, Sarah. It's all life. We get through it. I got called out just like this by my 7th grade math teacher. But who had the last laugh, Mr. Burkus? You're dead and I'm making YouTube videos. I'm sorry. Lord forgive me. Beetle repeated himself. She bloody told Sarah she'd never graduate, Beetle said through gritted teeth. Bloody hell. Have you talked to her? I asked. Not yet. She has class and I need to cool down so I don't get myself fired, Beetle said. I nodded and I let him vent while we had some lunch. After school that day, Beetle went to talk to Typical Beard. Did you tell Sarah that she wouldn't ever graduate? Beetle asked, trying to give her a chance to explain herself before he lost his Irish temper completely. Typical Beard nodded.
I did, and she won't if she doesn't start turning work in.
What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you say that to a student? Do you expect her to be motivated to do work now? Beetle said, his voice slowly rising.
I was being real with her. She needed a reality check. If she doesn't stop putting in effort, she will never graduate.
Typical Beard said. She's in special ed for a reason. It's hard enough to motivate her under the best of conditions. She's just gonna give up now, Beetle cried. Either that or push back twice as hard, but it sounds like she's had a rough go already. Typical Beard counters.
I don't believe in sugarcoating the truth for students. They need to know that if they don't put in the work, they won't pass, and they won't have a very good future.
At this point, Beetle took a deep breath and said in a very overly calm and measured tone, Typical Beard, Sarah is modified. You literally cannot fail her. For those that don't know what modified is supposed to mean in a special education setting, basically it just means that she is graded on attempting the work, not the mastery of it. Students on a modified curriculum rarely, if ever, fail. It's possible, but it's a lot of paperwork to justify it, so you will rarely ever see a modified student fail a course. Yeah, Typical Beard ain't gonna do all that paperwork, she just like running her yet.
I don't care, she still needs to turn her work in,
Typical Beard said. Beetle knew he was gonna end up calling her something that would get him fired, so he just nodded. Do not ever speak to one of my students that way again. This is good. This is almost confrontational. I'm liking these twists and turns. We're growing along with Beetle, aren't we? So at this point, Beetle turned around and walked out. He promptly reported the situation to Miss Dean. Miss Dean said she would handle it, but we think that meant Miss Dean talked to Typical Beard and nothing else was done. Obviously, we don't know for sure. But what I do know is that a month later, I was in a 504 meeting for one of my animation students. We'll call her Tay. Quick lesson on U.S. education law for context. Section 504 of the U.S. Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is designed to help parents of students with physical or mental impairments in public schools or publicly funded private schools work with educators to design customized educational plans. These 504 plans legally ensure that the students will be treated fairly at school. Students that need additional support but don't qualify for special education get a 504 plan. For example, Wee One has a 504 because she's a high-functioning autistic, has ADHD and Tourette's. It's not severe enough for her to be in special education, but it's severe enough that she needs accommodations. And just like special education students need their IEP reviewed annually, 504 students need their 504 plan reviewed annually. These reviews include the 504 coordinator, the parents, and as many of the students' teachers as are available to attend. Tay's 504 happened to be during my conference, so I was able to attend. Tay, her mom, the art teacher, and the 504 coordinator were the other parties present. Honestly, it sounds like a lot of extra bureaucracy, but it's bureaucracy that's being used in a good way for once, at least. Anyways, this was your run-of-the-mill 504 for the most part. I've sat in my fair share on the parents' side as Wee One's mom. As we were wrapping up, Tay was asked how she felt about her classes, and she said she felt good about them except for English. Why don't you feel good about English? Miss Coordinator asked. Tay looked around nervously and took a breath.
Miss Typical Beard told me I'm not going to pass English 2, and I'm going to have to retake it again next year.
My eyes widened, as did Tay's mom.
That's why I don't like to ask her for help,
Tay continued. Oh, she is just despicable. Miss Typical Beard. We hadn't heard much about you up until this point. But yes, from the new batch, there are definitely some beards in there as well. Anyway, at this point, Tay's mom looked at Miss Coordinator. That's not an accommodation issue. That is a teacher issue. Miss Coordinator nodded. I will look into that. I was fuming that she would say that to yet another student. How many students did she say crap like this to? I was limited in what I could really do, but there was one thing that I knew I could do. Tay, I used to teach English last year. I know the curriculum. If you ever need English tutorials or need help and you don't feel like you can ask Miss Typical Beard, please come to me. I know I'm your animation teacher, but I'm happy to help you in English too. Tay smiled.
Thank you, Miss Mandy.
Oh, it's almost a feel-good story that was started with a seed of decay and rot. Typical Beard. And so all this is how I started tutoring one of my animation students in English, and based on her current grade, yeah, she's absolutely gonna pass English 2 without an issue. And I try to keep my distance from Typical Beard. It's hard to miss her. She always looks like a can of biscuits that's about to burst open. That's funny. Because she wears revealing clothes that are 2 sizes too small. And yeah, teachers are in fact supposed to have a dress code. It just doesn't seem to be enforced. I guess a teacher shortage trumps anything else. Yeah, but nobody's gonna even address it? The administration, hello? Miss Dean's hopeless, Mr. Principal doesn't want to take a stand. Top to bottom, School of Beards. Final story for this post is Karen saves the children. Oh, I'm sure that's gonna be a feel-good story as well. For our final story today from the She Cave, we will revisit GSA. I haven't mentioned the club in a while because it's not been an issue this year. The club is calm and it's doing its thing. Manny Beard wears rainbows all the time and is clearly LGBT, but hasn't shown any interest in trying to sponsor the club. It's mine now. Although this will be the last year that I sponsor it for numerous reasons, I've already decided to step down after this year. Oh, it sounds like there's a bit more tea in that cup than is being revealed. But I'll let you keep your secrets. Everything was going smoothly until a shakeup a few weeks ago. Remember in Chapter 8 when I completely just went off on the commenters and said it had been a rough week? Yeah, the story I'm about to tell you is why. For those of you living in the States, you know how political things have become in schools. Yeah, that's why my kids ain't going to school in the US. The claims that teachers have a social justice agenda and just want to brainwash your kids into changing their gender has really gotten ridiculous. Some people even claim there are litter boxes in the student bathrooms for students that identify as cats. That's gotta be a meme, right? No, nobody's actually pooping in the litter box, right? Oh, that's funny. It truly is clown world, man. I promise you. I don't know any school that puts down litter boxes for the students. Books are being banned left and right. Teachers are scared to teach history. Yeah, it's a rough time in education. And that kind of trickles down to everything else, but that's not the post that's being made here. I can imagine why there is a teacher shortage. To that end, there have been a lot of school board candidates running as conservatives with family values. Who is he? I'll vote for him. Which to me seems to just mean we want our kids to have a religious education and not have to learn about anything that isn't cis, hetero, and white Christian. And one of these types of candidates is the focus of this tale. She is not a beard, however. Oh no, she is a Karen. Yeah, we get down on Karen tales sometimes. Doesn't perform as well as beard content though. So, a bit about Karen's campaign, just so you know who this woman is. She decided to run for school board because she heard about some kindergarten students who identified as half cat, half humans, and that alarmed her. They're called Khajiit, ma'am, and you should show them the same respect you'd show anyone else. Because kindergarten kids aren't known for being a cat one day and a dinosaur the next, right? I mean, my son pretty consistently picks dinosaur. He might be a dinosaur kin. I'm not sure. I haven't asked. She claims the schools want to put in litter boxes for their cat students. It's just as ridiculous the second time. There is no school even considering this. She tried to insinuate that the school district wants to take little kids off campus and force them to have a gender change surgery and then bring them back to campus without parental consent. Was this actually insinuated? What was the sentence that insinuated all of that? I think we're reading too deep into this one. She called the local police department on subpar high school for having an explicit book in their school library. There's more, but you get the idea. Okay, yeah, she's kind of wild and wacky, but can we really have a clown world without plenty of Karens running around? It's for the greater good, you see. Thankfully, Karen lost the election. I certainly didn't vote for her. But Karens never just go quietly into the night when they lose. No, they find a new cause. And this is where I come in. I was minding my own business, just riding with Beetle to our therapy appointment one day. Actually, to be more precise, it was the day that the second School of Beards video went up because we were listening to it in the car on the way. Yeah, that's how I track all my days too, by the ReddX release schedule. We were cracking up at Mr. Principal's voice when the audio suddenly cut off because my phone was ringing and I looked at my caller ID. Mr. Principal. Oh, crap. Hello, I answered.
Hi, Mandy. Sorry to bother you after hours, but we've just had a public information request about GSA. I need a copy of any promotional material used for the club and anything that's been shown to the students in meetings, he said.
Oh boy, knock knock, who could it be? I froze. What? Why would someone want that? Okay, sure. No problem, I replied.
It's nothing bad, it's not even just you. The request is for all the GSAs in the district. It's a former school board candidate and, I just need the information,
Mr. Principal repeated. Of course, not a problem. As soon as I can, I will get that to you, I said. And I did. I have nothing to hide. I don't really want the members' names to be public because some of the kids aren't out yet, except to the club, but this information, okay, no biggie. I figured it was just that, and, well, I was wrong. The next day, I got an email from the district person in charge of public information requests. Now she wanted everything the club had done for the last 3 years. Everything. This meant agendas, forms, attendance records, everything. Everything. This meant going back to when Rainbow Beard was the sponsor. Uh-oh. I sent her everything she wanted, but I made it very clear what date I took over the club and that the previous sponsor was no longer with our district. I refused to go down for something that Rainbow Beard did. Yeah, that's just CYA. Cover your... Later that day, one of the other GSA sponsors started a group chat. Basically, we confirmed we knew it was in fact Karen that made the public information request, and she was targeting GSAs all across the district, because LGBT students aren't targeted enough, right? Whew, okay. I had to stop typing and breathe because I am getting heated again just relaying this story. Anyway, after talking to the other sponsors, I was very alarmed for 2 reasons. 1, GSAs were being targeted, and I will not let my students become a display in a school board meeting for just existing. And 2, this Karen had a history of getting the media involved in her causes, and I did not want my school to have national attention for something that Rainbow Beard did. And yeah, there are a couple of things that Rainbow Beard did as the sponsor that I strongly condemn. and I felt could be used against the campus if brought to light. It was time to schedule a meeting with Mr. Principal ASAP. I didn't sleep more than half an hour that night because I was so upset. Yeah, this is getting spicy, isn't it? The next day after school, I went downstairs to meet with Mr. Principal. I was told I could go into his conference room.
Mandy, good afternoon. Would you like some cookies?
He asked, pointing to the remaining half of the strawberry cookies that were clearly left from an earlier meeting. Somebody told me my Arnold voice was turning into Cookie Monster, so that's that's the joke there. I shook my head. No, sir, but thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. I really just want to get to business. As you know, the scope of that public information request has been widened, and now we know that it's Karen doing it. I am truly worried about her turning our campus into a media sideshow because of some of the things that Rainbow Beard did. Mr. Principal nodded.
I appreciate your concern, Mandy, but anything Rainbow Beard did, we can defend because she's not here anymore. She's not the sponsor. You are, and the GSA's running smoothly. We can't erase the past, but we can show that we are better. We know what Karen has done in the past, and this is just her latest cause.
I looked at him. So what I hear you saying is, calm down, Mandy, there's nothing to worry about? I asked. Mr. Principal smiled.
Calm down, Mandy. There's nothing to worry about.
You know how I am with students, I said. Mr. Principal nodded.
I do, and I love that you're so protective of them. GSA is a club in every middle school and high school in the district. The district supports inclusiveness, so she can come after the GSA. She's never going to get very far, and they will not share student names in a public information request. Your students are safe. As far as the campus, we have nothing to hide. I will be happy to answer any questions that arise. I'm proud of what you've done with GSA, and everything you do, we can answer for.
I nodded. Okay. So, you think the district would have my back if she came after me for sponsoring GSA? I'm bi, and everyone kind of presumes that Beetle is gay. They what? Bro, I totally didn't pick that up. Mr. Principal laughed.
Oh, Mandy, yes, they'll have your back. And I absolutely will too. We knew who you and Beetle were when we hired you. It's not like you and Beetle go around introducing yourselves as bi at work. It's something that's just known, but doesn't come into the classroom. And that was one of the biggest issues with Rainbow Beard. She allowed her orientation to define her as a person. It entered the classroom when it had no place there. You and Beetle don't do that. You're open with GSA where it's appropriate, but it doesn't come back into the classroom with all the students. You're doing a great job, I promise. I have your back, and so will the district if it was ever necessary.
Okay. I can't say I'm still not worried, but I trust you, so I'll keep on with business as usual, I said.
That's all we can do,
Mr. Principal said. I was still a bit worried, but really there was nothing more that I could do. I mean, I don't trust somebody as flimsy as Mr. Principal to really have your back, but you are on the right side here, right? It's fine to have whatever orientation you choose, but never let it define you as a person. Another hill that I will die on. Anyways, later that night, I got another email from the public information person saying the scope of the request had been narrowed to city middle school only, and no further information was needed from any other campus. Why? I don't really know. Maybe Karen found something at City Middle School that she could latch onto and make a spectacle of at the next school board meeting. I can't get into the mind of people like Karen, nor would I want to. I don't understand coming after students that are already attacked regularly, so that ends my dealings in the Karen thing. Well, it's not really the most satisfying ending, but it is an ending, at least for you. Now we just gotta go watch City Middle School turn into a circus. I'm keeping my guard up, looking for anything on Karen I can find that isn't public knowledge, just any way to stop her from coming after our students. I mean, both Reddit and YouTube comments section love a good mystery. Go ahead, drop Karen's name. I'm sure you'll find everything there is to know about her. But I had no part in that, of course. Friendly stream, no bully, okay? In the meantime, I will continue to protect the GSA for the rest of the year and see what happens, but yeah, you can see why I was a little testy when I wrote Chapter 8. And that'll do it for this chapter of School of Beards. I probably got one more chapter I can get out with the stories that I have so far, and then after that, I'll write a new one when enough things have happened to warrant a story. Thanks to ReddX for his support through this saga. I appreciate you, mate. Hey, back at you, fam. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things for our boy. Until the next time. And honestly, I'm glad that we took some time out in this tale, set up Manny Beard and Typical Beard as actual beards, because, again, in the comments section, some people are like, I don't know, this is just kind of work drama. But you can see the beardery behind the work drama, right? And then there was, Karen. She seems like a real peach at the end, but, you know, we could fix her wagon, hypothetically. Anyways, let's get into the finale, I suppose, of Beard School. And then I'm gonna sing the Patreon list to you guys. I hope you guys like that. So let's see what it do and get on into it. School of Beards, Chapter 16, Beard's Gonna Beard. Oh, they never stop bearding. Greetings again, ReddX crew. I come to you again with more tales of beardery. To be honest, after ReddX's last stream and all those insane, unprofessional teachers, I debated ending the saga because those few teachers are giving us all a bad name. I decided, however, to keep telling these stories so you know that there is someone out there trying to counter the insanity. Not all teachers are like those insane few. Of course, those are the ones that get media attention, but the majority of us just want to teach and do right by the kids. I promise a few bad apples have not spoiled the whole bunch. Oh, another plug for the streams. Hey, that's great. Yeah, we're gonna do it again. We went to Clown World in the last one. It got very political. I unlisted it except for the patrons and the YouTube channel members. So at this point, that stream, it's our little secret. With all that said, let's get into another set of tales from the She Cave. And this story is called Sympathy Schmempathy. This one started with a text from Beetle that said, "Oh my god, I'm such an idiot." Now let's back up a couple days before that text. Oh, we Tarantinoing. On this particular morning, I was staying home from work. I had scheduled the day off for a doctor's appointment for Wee One, but the doctor had rescheduled on us. Ugh, I hadn't been feeling great anyways, so I just decided to go ahead and just take the day and send Wee One off to school. It had been ages since I had the day to myself. It's a good feel though, isn't it? Turns out there was a reason for that. I ended up hating it and not really knowing what to do with myself without Beetle. Wake up, breathe, keep breathing. The ambitions are wake up, breathe, keep breathing. It was just about time for Beetle to leave when he came into the living room and looked at me. "I have to tell you something," he said seriously. I muted the telly and sat up. "What is it, love?" "I just got a call from Ireland. My dad passed about an hour ago," he said. I looked at him, trying to decide how to react. Beetle and his dad had a complicated relationship. He hadn't even seen his dad in 15 years. Really, his dad had abandoned him. He never wanted a relationship with Wee One. We had sent him an invite to our wedding, not expecting he would come all the way from Ireland, but we did want to make the gesture. And we didn't get so much as even a congratulations. Beetle told me that when his mom told his dad she was pregnant with him, his response was, "Well, that's just bloody freaking peach, innit?" It's not an Irish accent, it's fine. Still, that was better than his reply when his mom told his dad that she was pregnant with Beetle's little brother. That time he had said, "I'd rather have a bloody dog." Get a dog, you're an adult, in theory. So yeah, not really the best father-son relationship in the world. Still, that was his dad. I remember how it felt when I lost my dad. I know, completely different cause, and I was super close to my dad. I had no idea how to react, so I just asked, "Are you okay, love?" I mean, it is complicated, but at the end of the day, Beetle's dad quite clearly outright rejected Beetle. So Beetle should do the same, you know, turn for turn, right? Let me tell you guys a little bit of a story about some ReddX deep lore, okay? I was 8 years old. Never met my daddy before in my life, but at some point he decided he wanted to meet me. So we met up at a local park. He told me all about his new family and his great kids. Said he wanted me to meet them and take me to Disneyland and all this stuff, yada yada. It was somewhat of a heart-to-heart, but when we got home a few days later, He called up asking to take me to Disneyland. My mom said, "Do you want to go?" And I remember the words I said to this day. I said, "I'm 8 years old. I don't need this." So yeah, my dad rejected me. I gave him the same right back. I had a good stepfather at that point. I was secure in myself. You're too late. You chose to be gone, so stay gone. If I got news he died tomorrow, I'd feel nothing, honestly. But I guess Beetle was a bit closer. So Beetle just nods at the question of, "Are you okay?" And he said, I'm fine. I just gotta go to work. Come on, wee one. I looked at him. If you need a day, you are entitled to bereavement. Beetle shook his head. No point. What am I gonna do here all day? Dwell on the fact that my dad was never a dad and now he never can be? I'm good. See you tonight. That's so funny. That's why we got the text earlier, right? You could have hung out and had a wonderful day together. Beetle kissed me goodbye, and he and wee one left. He never told anyone at work that day about his dad's passing, which only ended up upsetting him. That afternoon, there was an English department meeting. I was at home playing video games, and Beetle was texting me his grievances about the meeting. This training is bollocks. The district English coordinator is in here teaching us about how to use workshop in our classes, Beetle vented. The same workshop structure that we've been using for years, you mean? I asked. Yeah, that would be the one, he replied. And they're pushing an educational magazine as a good resource that I've been trying to tout for years. Yeah, that does sound like a lot of BS, I agreed. Oh, bloody hell, he exclaimed. What is it, love? I asked. Englishbeard just whispered something to Miss Dean and left. He managed to get out of this training, and I'm still stuck in here with my thoughts. No one knows what I'm dealing with today. He was clearly more upset than he had let on that morning. You really should have told someone about your dad earlier, love. They would have let you skip that meeting, I said. To that, he didn't reply. He came home, and he seemed fine. Now, a couple of days later is when I get the text, "Oh my god, I'm such an idiot." He put two and two together, but he was dealing with a lot of stuff, you know? I can see how that might slip your mind. What happened was that Beetle went into Mannybeard's class that day and was having feelings about his dad. He tried to talk to Mannybeard about it. What? This is why Mannybeard thinks you're friends. That's completely the wrong person. Mannybeard seemed to think that they were bros, and Beetle had been trying to be more patient with him. I'm sorry if I'm a little spacey today. My dad passed away a couple days ago, and I guess it's just hitting me harder than I thought, Beetle said.
My grandfather's about to die. We thought he would have died already. We had the whole house set up for it, and people are coming through at all hours expecting him to pass, but he hasn't yet. He's still hanging on. He's like something out of This Is Us, Mannybeard said.
Yes, my life too is like a TV show because I've been so media poisoned. But Beetle just says, sorry to hear that. Showing the compassion that Mannybeard had just denied him. Mannybeard nodded and started class. Once they started independent work, Mannybeard would randomly walk over to Beetle and say something to him about his grandfather. Never once did he even acknowledge what Beetle had told him about his dad. What? Dude, the largest delusions of grandeur. Complete denial of reality. I'm amazed to see it unfold. So here is how that text exchange with me went. Beetle, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. OP, yeah, why right now though? Beetle, because I opened up to the one person that has zero compassion. I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. I told Mannybeard about my dad and he just started going on about his grandfather. OP, well, I get a schoolbeard story out of it, so please continue your idiocy. Beetle, Lamau, I'll report the beardery back to you. This is how cults start. Red knows he's starting a cult, right? It is pretty sick, honestly. If everyone here donates $20, I can buy a private jet. I've always wanted a private jet. Then I can flee the ReddX compound when the FBI shows up. OP laughs and says probably, but it is totally science. God, I really need to bring that intro back, don't I? And for those wondering, Beetle is fine. He has some complicated emotions to work through, but he decided against going to visit Ireland, at least for now. He good. Yeah, I guess everybody processes that sort of thing in their own way. I have yet to really lose anybody ultra close to me. Except my brother, but you know, he ain't dead. He's just kind of alive in a grave in jail. But it definitely did spur on a period of difficulty for me. My heart goes out to you, Beetle, honestly. Our second story is entitled Dear English Beard. Part of Beetle's biggest problem is that because he's so non-confrontational, the Beards mistake his tolerance of them for friendship. This is why one day when Beetle was sitting in the English workroom trying to, like, you know, work, English Beard thought it would be okay to start a random conversation. What are you gonna talk to me about them YouTube videos you watch, English Beard, huh? You sitting there watching Game Grumps, huh? I only watch the highest quality ReddX content. So English Beard walks over to the center table and starts slicing some bread that someone else had brought in to share. As he did, he looked back at Beetle.
They don't tell you that being a good teacher is so much more than just teaching a curriculum.
Beetle fought back a sigh. He didn't like that Manny Beard and English Beard saw him as their bro, but in true Beetle fashion, he just kinda went with it.
What do you mean, English Beard? These kids are teenagers. They have feelings, emotions, big ones. They don't know how to handle it. And some days I feel more like an advice columnist than a teacher,
English Beard said as he went and sat next to Beetle and ate his bread. Okay, but you're not an advice columnist, English Beard. You're a teacher. Don't overstep the professional bounds, please and thank you. What are you talking about, mate? Beetle asked, not looking away from his work, hoping that English Beard might catch the hint. If you really wanted to catch the hint, you can't use complete sentences. Just grunt.
So many of these kids come to me for relationship advice. I feel like I spend most of the period advising them on their relationship issues.
Oh, God.
They want to know how to break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, so I tell them. They ask if they should do it over text or in person, and I said if they had the relationship in person, then they should do it in person. That's when they get broken up with, and then I have to comfort them. It really cuts into the time that I can spend teaching,
English Beard complained. Bro, I'm dying deep inside. You were better when you were sullen doing nothing. Please go back to watching YouTube videos, English Beard. You hurt a lot more than you help. English Beard, you don't have to use class time to... Never mind. You know your kid's best, I guess, Beetle said, not wanting to get involved. I'm not trying to make waves with that, he would tell me later on.
I guess I just have to make the time. These kids clearly need my help. They just can't navigate these sorts of problems without some guidance,
English Beard said. Bro, the kids are all right. They're gonna figure it out. Look at you. You're hardly holding yourself together. I don't think you're equipped to give out this advice, English Beard. Beetle just bit his lip and nodded. He fought the urge to ask why kids would want advice from
the greatest oppressor.
The idea of English Beard being a Dear Abby figure to these kids terrifies me. And then the idea of him using class time to do that instead of teaching? Oh God, I can't even. Yeah, he doesn't even know how to get blood out of an oriental rug. You're useless to me, English Beard. My personal interactions with English Beard have become minimal, but I somehow have this uncanny ability to go downstairs at the same time that he's coming down the downstairs hall. This is not a small school, and yet the frequency with which this happens is startling. One day, Beetle and I were going downstairs because we were headed home. Don't make eye contact, I whispered to Beetle, and Beetle made eye contact.
Did you two lose one?
English Beard asked, looking for wee one. I shook my head. She's homesick. I was gonna leave it at that and hightail it to the car, but Beetle kept talking. She accidentally glutened the other day. I packed the wrong sanga in her lunch, so she got sick, Beetle said. Wee one has a gluten intolerance. I sighed. Why?
Oh, that's not good. Oh, well, good luck with that,
He said as he walked with us. No, good luck with that is the end of the conversation. Go away now.
Why did you engage?
I asked Beetle once we were free of English Beard. Beetle shrugged, lulling them into a false sense of security to get more beard stories. He's playing the long game. That's big brain time. I glared at him. The next day we were coming in when we ran into English Beard again. I told you it's uncanny how much this happens. I'm not sure which god I pissed off to make this happen.
You're still missing one again. Is she still sick?
English Beard asked. Bro, you a creep. I sighed. My brother's bringing her in later.
Oh, okay. Good,
he said as he walked away. Wee one came into my class a bit later. Yeah, I'm one of her teachers. She gave me her late pass and I nodded. Your favorite teacher was missing you. Who? She asked. English Beard, I said. She rolled her eyes. I saw him in the hall on my way to class and he told me he'd been looking for me. It was weird. No, this is a touch beyond weird, isn't it? Can we start the paper trail, please? Restraining order. But OP just shakes her head, says, ignore him, go take your seat. So yeah, English Beard's giving advice to kids and thinks Beetle is his bro, and I guess that Wee One is his friend too? I have no idea. I can't get inside the beard mind. Not sure that I'd wanna.
Oh, you wouldn't last for 5 minutes. I've seen things that no mortal human can imagine. Cartoon ponies, jars, more tentacles than you can conceive of. My God.
Media Beard bends the rules. I guess this is our last story for today. So I mentioned before how Media Beard is one of Wee One's teachers this year. He's also in the same department as me, which means I interact with him a lot more this year than I did last year. And yeah, I like the bloke as a person, but as a colleague, not as much. This tale is pretty much going to compile several of the things Media Beard has done this year alone because really it's a lot of little things. As you know, I got bus duty this year. One day, about a month or two into school, I was headed down to the bus area about 10 minutes early. It's maybe a 5-minute walk from my classroom. And then when I got there, I noticed a lot of kids were already waiting for the bus. The bell hadn't rung yet. Why aren't you in class? I asked a group of kids that were standing around waiting. Our teacher let us go early, one of the kids said. I paused. Who is your teacher? Mr. Media Beard, the kid replied. I blinked. Not cool. So I had a dilemma here. Do I report Media Beard or let it slide? I decided to take a middle-of-the-road approach. When Miss AP came outside, I went over to her. I just wanted to let you know that a group of kids were out here unsupervised when I got out here for duty before the dismissal bell rang. They said their teacher let them out early, I said. And which teacher is that? She asked. The kids wouldn't say. They didn't want to get their teacher in trouble, I said. Yeah, I hate lying, but I was giving them the information. I was just also covering for Media Beard in the process. OP, you're playing favorites right here. You admitted that you like him as a person, so you're covering up for him as a teacher. It's not the way to go. Not the way I do it. Then again, that's why I probably don't really have many work friends. I covered for him at first, anyway. You see, what didn't click is that Wee One was in the class that he dismissed early. This did not occur to me until later that night when I was home. Guess who I found roaming the hall without a pass today? Beetle said. Who? I asked, and he looked pointedly at Wee One. Wee One sighed. What? Mr. Media Beard dismissed us. I don't know what to do because you guys are still in class. Did it occur to you that you should still be in class? I asked. But he dismissed us, Wee One said. I nodded. You're right. This isn't on you. It's on him. And that's not okay. When you're scheduled to be in class, I expect to know that you are safely in class. It is a total safety issue to let the students just roam around. What if we went into a lockdown situation? This is not okay at all. Beetle looked at me, and then at Wee One.
Mummy bear mode activated.
I covered for him today, and I shouldn't have done that. Tomorrow, I'm telling Miss AP the truth. Gosh, it always comes back around. OP is just a staunch professional. I love that. This cannot happen again. And Wee One, if he does that again, you do not leave the room. You tell him the bell hasn't rung and that you aren't comfortable leaving early. Wee One nodded. Yes, ma'am. The next time I had duty, I went over to Miss AP. I just wanted to follow up on those students that were dismissed from class early. I found out from Wee One that it was Mr. Mediabeard. I'm concerned as a parent. I don't like that my kid was found just roaming the hall. Miss AP nodded. I figured it was him. We've had this issue before. I'll talk to him again. And I thought that was the end of it, until about a month later, when Beetle and I passed Mediabeard in the hall.
Your kid is a rule follower,
Mediabeard said. I nodded. She better be. Yeah, why are you saying that like it's a bad thing? You know rules exist for a reason, right? We can't have a society without rules, Mediabeard. Mediabeard elaborates.
No, even rules she doesn't have to. I tried to dismiss students early the other day and she wouldn't leave. She said that her mom told her to stay in class till the bell rang. Nothing I said made her leave early,
he said. I blinked. She knows better. You shouldn't be dismissing early. It is a massive safety issue. I could feel Beetle's eyes burrowing into the side of my head.
Yeah, I know. Rules were made to be broken. That's my motto,
Mediabeard said. Wow, that's the worst motto I've ever heard. But OP burns him just as bad. Part of maturity is knowing when you need to bend the rules on a situational basis. But for the most part, rules are rules, I said.
Yeah, she's always been a rule follower.
Beetle laughed nervously. Hey, Beetle, don't do this. I get that you're trying to diffuse the tension or whatever, but always stand aside your lady, you know?
Well, you have a good kid. Talented, too, he said.
She is, but she needs guidance. She doesn't know what Adobe Audition is yet, or how to storyboard. I figured that would have been something that she learned during the first grading cycle, I said.
We'll get there. The kids like to leave class and film,
Mediabeard said. Yeah, I would too. You're exerting no control whatsoever. But Beetle intervenes, dragging OP away, saying, well, we should go. Good seeing you, Mediabeard. He is teaching her nothing, I fumed once we were alone. I know, but you can still fill in the gaps at home. You know the material that he isn't teaching her, Beetle said. That is not the point, I grumbled. And again, I side with OP. This brings us to December. One morning, we got our usual email with the link to the daily school news program to show our students at the start of the second period of the day. 5 minutes later, it was followed by a second email from Mr. Mediabeard saying not to show it and that the school news was on hiatus until further notice. Oh boy. After school that day, Wee One said that all of his students had been grounded and couldn't leave class to film, so they just hadn't done anything in class. Oh, it's like English Beard 2.0. Something big had to have happened for them to pull the school news off and shut down all filming activities in his class. Over the next couple of days, I saw Mediabeard around campus. He looked dejected and beaten down. Wee One, do you know why your AV class was grounded? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, it was an episode of the school news the other day. There was a segment where some girls referred to some of the boys as hoes. Oh, that's a bit of an oopsie. Now the FCC is gonna come down on you. I nodded. Yeah, I do remember that. I was surprised that made it to air, but a lot of what Mediabeard allows on surprises me. Well, I guess some parents complained to Mr. Principal and the APs. Mediabeard didn't see anything wrong with it. He thought it was funny, and he said he was just letting the students produce their show, Wee One explained. I sighed. This is what happens when you have the same mentality as your students. The next day, I decided to check on Mediabeard. This had to be absolutely awful for him. It happened to be a day I was displaced from my own room and had no place to work for my conference. As the only graphics design teacher, there isn't a graphic design workroom just for me, so I was holed up in Beetle's class. His kids were watching a movie, so it wasn't an issue for me to set up my laptop and work in there. I took some of this time to go to Beard's classroom. When I walked in, Miss Dean was in there talking to him. Kids were scattered, either playing board games, coloring in coloring books, or messing around on the computers. High schooler with color book? Where the hell did they get those? This is madness. What do they do when they aren't filming? What curriculum are you teaching? They can't be out filming every single day, Ms. Dean said. I froze. This was bad. Beard looked at me. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had a quick question for Beard, but it can wait, I said as I stepped back out of the room.
They have to film, and they enjoy it. We do other things, like we edit the footage,
Beard said. This was awkward. I could watch the class so you two can go talk, I said.
Thank you, Miss Mandy,
Miss Dean said as she and Beard went out into the hall to finish their talk. Man, this was really bad. Miss Dean was not over our department. That meant that she had to be in here as the Dean of Instruction and was questioning Beard's curriculum and his teaching ability. Several minutes later, Beard came back in and Miss Dean left, and he walked over to me.
Hi, Mandy. What's up?
He asked. I sighed. Mate, I just wanted to come check on you. You one told me what happened, and I'm sorry. If you need to talk, I'm here. Beard forced a defeated smile.
I appreciate that. It's all just very disheartening. They won't even tell me exactly what caused this. I guess it's a lot of little things that added up. I don't know what's happening with my program. I feel bad for the kids.
Yeah, now you do, I guess, that you've been caught. Do you think he'll self-reflect? Do you think he'll turn it around? I'd love to believe that, but I know Beards. I nodded. I get that, man. Just know I'm here for you, mate.
I appreciate that, Mandy. Truly. Thanks for checking in,
he said. I nodded and headed out. I mean, it seems like a small thing relatively, but yeah, heads are gonna roll, I'm pretty sure. When we came back from winter break, the school news was finally brought back on the air. I found out later from Mr. Principal that an AP had to review every episode of the news now before we could actually show it to students. Basically, everything Beard does is under a microscope. He is actually teaching, however, and we one's actually learning something. Oh, and he doesn't dismiss students early anymore either. Huh. I guess not all rules are made to be broken. I mean, that's a big oops. He should have been reviewing the footage this whole time. Lazy as hell. I don't understand why you like him as a person, honestly. And that brings us to the present day. This saga's not over, as I still have tales coming to me frequently. Expect maybe 1 to 2 stories a month moving forward, as I'm able to compile new happenings. Before I let you go, I do have a couple of updates to share on beards of the past. Beard is still teaching in the city and evidently doing well. Gabby still keeps in touch with her. Gabby said that when she told Beard they'd actually hired several males as English teachers, she replied,
Ew, they've hired how many men? I got out just in time.
Beards never change. Rainbow Beard is no longer an admin at that charter school she left us for. I'm not sure what happened, but I do know she's now teaching English at a very small school about an hour away from here. To my knowledge, she hasn't moved, so yeah, that's one hell of a commute. I feel no sympathy. Avid Beard, he's still at the new high school and has a teacher wish list that was made public. Items on this wish list include 2 tablets, an iPad, 3 fans, a $600 cry cut machine, a $200 coffee maker, and a $238 tablet charging box. And this is just a sampling of the over 100 items on her list. She's also not the Avid coordinator. She's an Avid English and art teacher. Teacher wish list? Is that a thing? Should I make my Amazon wish list public? I don't actually want anybody to buy me like the super expensive stuff from it, alright? But if you were to send me like a t-shirt I thought was cool, I don't know. I could be into it. But of course, you guys are not my students, and I don't expect anything from you. It's just like a nice surprise when it happens, right? Avid Beard, weird as hell, bro. Where do you expect kids to come up with money for a $200 coffee maker? Anyway, once again, thank you for reading my story, ReddX. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Until the next time. Well, bit sad to see a Beard story end, and it's not really even over. I don't know what's gonna happen to the compilation of this. I'm sure it's gonna blow up to magnificent proportions, much like this episode has done. But I guess I'm a bit more talkative today than usual. Hope you guys don't mind. Thanks for hanging out with me. Do the things that OP said, all right? There's many links in the description. Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Facebook, Patreon patrons, YouTube channel members if you'd like to help me out. Amazon wishlist not down there yet, but let me know what you think. We're also going to sing the patron list today like I promised, so I want to give a big thank you to all of my channel members and Patreon patrons right now, including Valley-Eyed Crane, Sam Myers Cuds, B. Dazzle Miz, Joanna Ross, Firedrake, me, Jerry S. Sue Jerry, Project Duke, Just Video Watching, Melja Hannon, Mute Cellwing, 66666 Samantha, Origami Steve, Vladimir Dragonov, Sean Cantwell, John Indoors, Train Boy Shiza, Angel Dark, Skylar Rain, The Fez Wearer, Heaven Sent, 7777, Robert Thibodeau, Grimstripe, Toothplushy, Corey Yards, Florentic Waver, Dungeon Bat, Billy D, Robert Waits and Brandon Ashcraft, Phantom Venetica, Skylar Morningstar, The Gypsy Barber, and Death's Flagship. Heading over to Patreon, we got Don Draker Break, Miss Black, Harley Ho, and Robert Waits. Again, wow, he's real MVP. Camille Sarah, Fluxer, Captain Clown Jerry, Yemeth, Ellipses, Origami Steve, one more time, Santa, Jerry, and Silent Revolvers, Zapdos 28, Jerry, the original Jerry, Tato Ferret, Zarfar Barcars, Destiny Piper, Jerish Kitsune, and Frankenberry, Ain't That a Hiding Bitch, Apex Goat Jerry, Assassin Pug Jerry, Baby Jerry, Bailey Joy, Billy D, Bitch Gremlin Blade, The Hero, Commander J Tang, Dirty Little Jerry, Dr. Larks, dude, you're getting a leg beard. I don't want it. Aaron Era, East Bars, Hadrian BR India, Irish Pyre, Iron Hollow, Irradiant Jam, JM Coon, Jerry Blacktail, Juicy Lucy, and the Adventures of Daddies, Saggy, Baggy, He's a jukebox Jerry, Lady Italian, Greyhound Dino, Lauren Crow, Legitimate Girth, Lord Jerry-O, Luca Vex, like and subscribe, my Lady Dix. Hey, that kind of rhymes a little bit. Mad Monk, Melgar, The Destroyer, Battle Factor, Needless King 89, Phantom of the Pines, Jerrykin, Sarita the Lolita, Scarlet's Kevin, Sergeant Gay Cop, Silo Imp, Stephanie Goodnut, Sign Up to Boomstick, Taco Mal, Brilliant Tamago, The Gypsy Barber, The Littlest Who, The One True Fusky, trying to find another marble to get back to the real world. Vanguard Angel VC3, Viking Jerry, Vladimir Dragonov, one more time, WikiTag, Comrade Booney, Kira, Not Another Jerry, Cage Alex 9, Bad Penny Lane, Carcass, Third Stuff, Venom Jerry, Jace Christensen, A Normal Jerry, Great Singing ReddX the Musical when? Once a week, when we do the Patreon list. Thanks for coming. Emera Alder, Atomic Jerryzilla, Bartender Kelia, Big Dad Wolf, Broken Spine Horseradish, Cat Aguilar, Cake Jerry, the original, Different Jerry, California Jerry Girl, Chikara the Panda, Corey does commissions now. Hey, Cowabunga Jerry, Cryptides, Defon Jerry, Defter Tuna, Deku, Dwarfy Dude, Jerry Boo's daughter, Ghost of Alpha Greybon, and Half Slavic Jerry in a tracksuit. He cannot. Hydra Jerry Soulman, Janitor Jerry, can't duck up. Anything funny right now? Okay. Jeffrey! Yes, he's here. Wrong withdrawal of Rivia. Jerry, but with two S's and an E. That's Jesse. Jerry Springer. The results are in. You are not the Neckbeard. Thank God. Jerry the Sussy Baka. Jerry's mom has got it going on. Jerry rocks his kitsy kin. Muchie CD, maybe next time. Mr. Gas Mask, not invisible angel. Raptor Xnary, that's not Jerry. If you didn't know, spoopy, scary Jerry Dawn is relevant all year round. They call me Jerry Tuna, Jerry Pie. This is purely a mercantile transaction. Yeah, it still is. To Infinite Jerry and beyond, Tokyo Bird, Trickster, Unkale, Vaughn, Whimsy. Would you believe GameStop wouldn't offer any Tendy coin for my pigeon? They said it was too used. How's that even a thing? Throws to leader Mountain Dew. Grow my neckbeard, grow. It's Jerry time. Holds ReddX more for hygiene. It's Jerry time. Holds ReddX more for humility. And thank you to my $1 patrons as well. Everybody MVP. Hard time still laying over, but I want to thank you individually. That rhymes, right? That's close enough. Thank you, Jerry's, not Jerry's alike. If you guys can support, it's huge, I swear. If you can't, don't sweat it. I appreciate you coming through. Wash your hands. Keep yourself safe out there. Join us again tomorrow. And of course, always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, friends, bye-bye.